XRP, we start with 1 hour chart. Okay, if we refer to our analysis when the price was within this move, all right, exactly here we mentioned how we can look for trade. We had a different option, and even we mentioned if there is a continuation with the breakout of this top, we mentioned how we can look for trade. As we can see, the price sharply break, but now we want to see what we get here, whether the correction for continuation or this one turn to more complex correction. Okay, first of all, if we refer to our analysis when the price was within this move, we were talking about if the price drop, we mentioned that we can expect the price to drop to 0.53, and at that time we mentioned any reversal from there, it can give us better trade setup. But whatever we were talking, I mean, we were analyzing my last video, it was when the price haven't broke this top. Okay, no, the price broke. And we want to see what's the next. Okay, first of all, if we want to look for continuation and if we want to look for trade, if we get a correction here, because at that time we can put this correction in relative to this for continuation. But how about if the price start to reverse? Then what we can look for? Because at that time we can look, since the price have broke the previous stop, we can look for the different, I mean, the two different type of flat, expanding or running. Okay, the running is, we can, I mean, when we're talking about the running, that means we can expect the price to drop, then we put in relative to each other for continuation. And in running flat, we don't need to expect, I mean, the price won't broke the previous low. But if we get the, we want to look at the expanding, what we want the price to break the previous low, which we don't like to trade this one for me. Because if there is a possibility for the price to retest this low, me at that time, this is the start of the down move. And this is the only, this is how we can look for it, and we can look for the next move. And even if we refer, we put this one in relative to this, as we can see, we have a divergence. This is what we need to be quite careful. Okay, that's why if we want to look for trade, if we get a correction here, it's good for us. But if this one start to drop and retest, break this one, then we want to see how we can look at as a running flat. This is what we prefer, because for me, if the price start to drop, okay, it couldn't, I mean, didn't continue from here, what I prefer to look for trade, I mean, we get the running flat. Okay, then at that times I won't wait for the breakout of this low. This is what we have been looking, we can look for. But if we see there is a continuation with the breakout of this low, also we can look for trade, because at that times we will have expanding. Okay, that's why in my last analysis I mentioned if the price, when the price was within this move, because at that time the price haven't broke this top, I mentioned if we get one more drop, any reversal, it can give us better confirmation. But right now, since the price broke the previous top, the best thing is if we get the drop, look at the running flat, not expanding flat. Running flat can give us better confirmation. Okay, whatever right now about talk, I mean, I mentioned about the flat, if the prices start to drop and break this one, but if we get a correction here, still we can look for continuation. It doesn't mean we have to wait for the drop. If it drop, then we want to see how we can look at it. Okay, no, the thing is we don't have any trade set up. The only thing is we want to see what we get here, either correction for continuation or reversal. But we need to be aware that when we put this one in relative to each other, we don't have, I mean, we have a divergence. Okay, and if I move to 15-minute, all right, now we want to see whether we get the continuation or not. In this case, we start with the, now we move to daily chart. Okay, again, in our analysis, we mentioned if we want to see whether the price continue from here, or we can expect the price to retest 0.36, 0, or on 0.34. Again, still, I mean, whatever we mentioned is same. If there is a continuation from here with the breakout of 0.65, okay, then from there we can look, expect the price can break 0.75, and this one can be start of the up move. May at that time we can expect for the correction, but this is, I mean, at that times we won't expect the price to retest this low. That means we consider this the start of the up move. But if the price couldn't break this one, especially 0.65, any reversal, we can expect at least the price drop to 0.42, following by 0.39. Then at that time, we want to see whether there is a continuation for 0.36 and 0.34 or not. Okay, that's why all it depends. But if you want to trade here, we need to see, because again, if the price can break, maybe this is the start of the up move. For sure, when the price was within this move, we mentioned if we get the one more drop, At that times, any trade can give us good trade for long term. Okay, but now the question is whether we can get or not. All depends on what we get here, whether we get a continuation or not. All right, and but we have to wait before we get a confirmation. I mean, to get the confirmation. And based on 1 hour chart, we explain how we can look for trade. And as we can see, based on 4 hour chart, we're looking at this. Now we want to see how this correction can form, and this is what we need to watch 0.6. Okay, by the way, we don't have any trade setup as well here. The only thing is if we move to 1 hour chart, we want to see what we get here. Correction for continuation, or the price can at least break this low, which is 0.55. Then from there, we see how we can look at this correction. What type of the flat we can look for. Because if we look at this, we can look for internally as 1, 2, 3. Okay, by the way, we just follow the chart. If I see any update, I will share. Thanks.